we now have CX experts from different industries joining us for a panel discussion answering the posing question: how do you find the ultimate CX equation for your organization's success? As I call your names out, I would request the panelists to please come up and take a seat on stage. First up, we have Mr. Abdulaziz Felimban, a leading regional CX expert. Mr. Abdulaziz is a results-oriented guest and customer experience consultant. Adept at building customer relationships to drive satisfaction, he's highly effective at overcoming objections and matching customers with top options. He has previously worked in executive customer experience positions at Moonshot SA, Bupa Arabia, and presently serves as the Associate Director of Customer Support and Experience for Noon in Saudi Arabia. He is also a member of the CX Saudi Association. Mr. Felimban, can we please have you on stage? Next up, we have Mr. Anas Hamid, Customer Success Director, Lucidia. Anas is a seasoned executive with over 12 years of experience in diverse industries, specializing in semiconductor, information, and communications technology on a global scale. As the Customer Success Director at Lucidia, he brings his engineering and business expertise to revolutionize the customer experience and lead a transformation in the MENA region. Can we please have you on stage, Mr. Hamid? Next up, we have Mr. Ehsan bin Abdullah, Director of Customer Experience, Tawunia. He has over 20 years of experience in the CX leadership domain, having CX expertise in many industries like telecom, banking, and insurance, and B2B, G2C, and B2C reach. He currently leads the Tawunia Customer Experience Unit as the Executive Director of CX to complete new levels of change, leadership, and electricity. Recently launched a practical guidebook in CX as a co-author book called Customer Experience is a Continuous Journey. Mr. Abdullah, can we please have you on stage? Our last panelist, Mr. Carrie Lawton, who is the Head of Group Customer Experience and Clienteling at Shalhoub Group. Carrie is the Head of Group Customer Experience and Clienteling for Shalhoub Group with over 15 years of experience within CX. He started his career in customer service center management before transitioning to customer experience some 10 years ago. Since then, he has held various CX leadership roles in the UK and UAE for industry-leading organizations such as Pizza Hut, Vox Cinemas, Ski Dubai, and Majid Al Futtaim Properties. Mr. Carey, can we please have you on stage? And at last but not the least, moderating this panel discussion with these distinguished set of leaders, we have our session chair, Mr. Abhinav Mishra, Director Strategy, Martech Vibe. Abhinav has nearly a decade of experience working with some leading media brands such as Bloomberg, Business Week Middle East, Khaleej Times, and Times of India, and now heads business strategy and commercial at Vibe Media Group. Abhinav, can I please have you on stage? And with that, I'll let you take it from here, Abhinav.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Sneha. I think you guys could give a better round of applause for all our panelists. Let's try once again. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you for joining us here today. And thank you to all our panelists for joining the discussion today. We are here to talk about an ultimate CX equation for success. And, just the other day I was reading about a CX story and I came across this, not an ultimate CX equation for success, about this organization. And let me start with that example. There's this organization which is one of the largest car rental companies in the world. Name starts with H. You see their boards everywhere at the airports. And last year they got sued for about $530 million by people who rent their cars. And why? Believe it or not, people who were legally driving their cars, rented cars in the US, they were stopped by the police and even arrested. And why? You know why? Because for some odd reason, and you believe it or not, it was a cost-cutting measure. So the car rental company, in a lot of cases, lost their rental contract did not know where the car is. So instead of spending money on upgrading their inventory management system, they decided to use the police for free and find the cars. So don't be that company. On that note, the reason I gave this example is because my first question for today, and Mr. Abdulaziz, I would like to start from you. CX, we've heard a lot of definition about CX, and everyone has a different meaning to CX. What does CX mean to you?
Okay, Abhinav, first of all, thank you very much. It will be my pleasure to be here speaking and learning from the CX leader in the market. Well, from my own point of view, and as I usually say, we have a theoretical and practical definition. If we are looking to theoretical part, it's basically describe how customer feels about each and every interaction they have with the organization, even before, during, and after the transaction, whether it's services or a product. So basically here we are tracking the emotions and feelings. Are our customer happy, satisfied, unhappy, angry, frustrated, and those things. It's basically more focusing in feelings and in emotion. This is what I call it a theoretical part. But moving to the practical we are doing in our daily basis in our organizations, basically it's more about how to manage customer expectations. So those expectations usually formed from the company promise at the first place, and also came from social media, from marketing activities that company held, from word of mouth and recommendation, or even also from the previous interaction that customer had with the organization. So basically here we are tracking, are we exceeding, matching, or failing to achieve this expectation? So this is how we define the customer experience in a theoretical and practical ones.
Thank you. Mr. Ehsan, apart from heading CX for Tavonia, I think you've also written a book about CX as well. I would love to know, what do you think and what does CX mean to you as a professional?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Lucidi and all the team giving us this opportunity. What is CX? CX really, it's all about a series of experience that both the customer and the company live. So it's not only the customer side, it's also the company that have its own experience. So it's a both. So it's a continuous journey of improvement, fixing basics, knowing where we stand today, at which level of experience and investment, and we can go from A to Z. So it's whole. It's not just a feeling and emotion. On top of that, it's both. It's a customer journey and also a company journey and an employee journey itself.
Thank you. Anas, coming to you, I think we're talking about CX, but one of the things that we have seen companies really struggle with is measuring the effectiveness of their CX strategy, right? So how do you measure the effectiveness of the CX strategy that you're implementing within the organization? What is your take on it?
Good. Assalamu alaikum. Hi, everyone. I'm really happy and grateful to be here with you all. A really good question. I think CX, it has no one single number that could tell you're good or bad. It's a complex journey that covers all customer touch point. However, based on the organization goals and channels through which your customer interact with the company, we could define some of the metrics. And I name it in two types, like quantitative part and quantitative metrics, and the second one is the qualitative one. For the quantitative, which is real numbers, we can, all of us know the NPS, the CS, the CSAT, the average handle time, churn rate, and so on. And for the qualitative, it's the why behind those numbers, like the customer feedback reviews, the customer interviews, the customer support recordings and transcript. Also, the most important, the social media sentiment analysis. And nowadays, you can see in the market a lot of online platforms that could help you on those qualitative part, such like Lucidia and others. And it's worth to mention a study we made that we help our customer after using our Lucidia. We could do an impact study. We were not able to give them the tool for them to measure their performance in the CX, but also we did a positive impact where we could help them and getting a positive sentiment, more positive sentiment analysis by 325%, and less in negative sentiment by 90%, which is amazing, I believe.
So I think at the end it's about the positive impact that you're able to create through your CX strategy as well, right? I mean, of course, measuring the two ways that you mentioned as well. Carrie, coming to you, I think we're living in a world that is changing very fast and very consistently, right? So how do you see organizations, or how do you think organizations can ensure that the CX strategy also evolves with time, constantly keeps evolving, and it is in line with the changing needs of their customers and tries to meet the expectations, because the expectations are also consistently changing for your customers? How do you do that?
First of all, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's an interesting one. I think one word that you said was interesting is customer strategy and customer experience. I think the one thing that you've got to make sure that you're doing is ensuring that customer experience is in your business strategy. And it's a red thread that runs through your business strategy to ensure that you've got listening posts throughout your customer experience to make sure that you're tapping into this change, this sense of uncertainty that's happening. So I think that having a CX strategy separate from your business strategy is no longer the way forward. And I think that making sure you've got these listening posts, you know, through all of the different good stuff that Mr. Abdullah said as well, really ensures that you can deliver throughout that change. And you're exactly right, particularly in this region. What Mr. Abdullah said was, you know, we've got a young crowd here. We've got a young population. And this region is going to move faster and adopt quicker than other regions. So it's incumbent on us as leaders in customer experience in the region to make sure that we are investing first in resource for CX within our teams, as well as the best technology to ensure that we can keep up with the trends at the finger of at our fingers on the pulse at all times. So I would say, you know, investment. I would say customer strategy and business strategy being together, and listening posts are vitally important.
And Carrie, staying with you, because you mentioned a very interesting point that your customer strategy should be a part of your business strategy as well. So how do you build a culture of customer centricity around your organization? And what, according to you, are some principles that underpin this culture? How do you make it a part of your business strategy, or how do you ensure that as an organization, you're a customer-centric organization?
I think there's two main approaches. I think fundamentally, you have to have executive sponsorship. And I think that we're lucky in the region whereby the senior leaders in organizations and groups appreciate that customer is the differentiating factor going forward, you know. And I think that's fundamentally important. And I think being close to the senior people, making sure that you're constantly championing that from the top down is vitally important. But nevertheless, from a bottom-up approach, it's all around understanding, data and understanding your customers, having some sort of program that's established so you can go to those senior people and say, hey, this is why it's important. This is what our customers are telling us, and this is how we create differentiation within our services. You know, we live in a homogenized system now where there's all sorts of products that are very similar. Indeed, experiences are very similar. So going at that angle of creating a differentiation, and showcasing that to the senior bods within the organization is vitally important. But certainly it needs to be intrinsic, and I think we're lucky that right across the region we've got visionary leaders that put customers and people at the forefront of their strategies.
Interesting. Mr. Abdulaziz, coming to you, as Carrie said, his answer was like a top-down and a bottom-up approach as well that works or helps in building that. What, according to you, helps build that customer-centric organization? How can you focus on that, and what are the principles that organizations should focus on while trying to develop that culture?
Okay, Abhinav, that's a great question, because having that culture is actually the core of the building a great customer experience. We know, as we all know, culture eats strategies for breakfast. So without having a great culture that focus and put the customer at the center of everything they do, will basically, none of our initiatives or strategies can go in a fine way. So if we look at the organization that delivering a great customer experience, what they have in common usually, we can highlight 2 to 3 most common things. First, they started by getting the leadership buy in. So the CEO of the organization must buy in. The CX team must directly reporting to the CEO. They should have the authority and the empowerment to do any implementation that required to enhance the customer experience. So getting the leadership buy-in this is the first things in any organization with a great culture of customer centricity. Secondly, they are getting everyone involved. So each and every employee in the organization must know and understand what is the benefit of delivering a great customer experience. Also, each and everyone in the organization should understand that delivering a great customer experience is everyone's responsibilities. They should understand that the long-term approach is one of the key business strategy. And the third thing I'm looking at is that those organizations usually empower and support their staff, and especially the frontliner, those people who is indirectly interacting with the customer. So they are investing in their training. They put their warriors into the front line. This is something is really important because we are gaining the feedback and voice of customer from those frontliners most of the time. And secondly, they are investing in technology. So we are enabling our staff with the most advanced technology that help them to achieve the customer satisfaction. And lastly, I'm talking about is also leveraging the data because we need to personalize our customer experience. So using the data is very important while we are empowering our staff. So it's somehow culture with open communication channels at which each and everyone in the organization can speak up, can raise the flag, also can come up with any initiative that could help and support in enhancing the customer experience.
Interesting. Mr. Ehsan, same question to you. How do you think it will be good to have three different views? I mean, more or less it's inclined, but how do you think organizations can build that culture of customer experience?
Yes, every business is unique itself. It's dependent on its industry, its challenge, the market condition, the company itself. It's a startup or it's a large corporate. So it's really dependent on the ecosystem of the business itself. So the CX is not, as my colleague said, it's not more a strategy alone. It's cross-functional with everything that we do. End of the day, all the financial and operation KPIs or the scorecard and the things we do all is, and ultimately is just intersecting with the customer. So it's very important that before even putting the place or the strategy of the CX, it's very, very important we know the degree of investment and the journey that the company need to take and to overcome the challenges and turn the challenges to opportunities of enhancements. This is the most important things. The buy-in need to come from everyone and all the level of managerial to the most junior or senior guy. So one of the key things here is the change itself is very important, and the degree of investment and the willingness inside the company, all the factor, the process, the system, and the human.
You mentioned a very important point about the degree of investment. And on that, I want to also ask you is that in that case, how do you balance the need to deliver the best CX and at the same time manage costs and resources effectively? How do you balance that as an organization?
It's very, very important question. It's a very important question, really. It's not about the experience. It's more about how you will achieve this. Everyone can say that we have the best experience or we have let's say, the medium of the law. It's all about, end of the day, how the customer will live this experience from A to Z. So it's very important to have the balance. Yes, for me as a customer, it's better you fix your basics or give me the right expectation or the minimum expectation I expect from you than giving me a complicated experience that I need another journey to fix it.
Interesting. Anas, talking from there, I come to you next is about while organizations are trying to deliver that CX journey, and because you work with clients from different sectors across different regions, so what are some of the most common challenges that you see clients face while trying to deliver that ideal or the best that they can? What are the common challenges and what would be your suggestions? Because if they're common challenges, I'm sure a lot in the room are facing them as well. So what would be your suggestion on to overcome those challenges?
Sure. First, I think I agree with what Mr. Abdullah mentioned. It's the most common challenge, and it's the core of the CX, where you lack of understanding your customer. Your customer is the core, and you build your products and services based on your customer. So lack of understanding your customer is one of the biggest challenges we are facing. A study by e-consultancy here said like 48% of the companies, they don't have a good understanding of their customer journey. And I believe this is a really high number. And to overcome, it's a simple solution. You just need to conduct a market research survey, and you use the advanced analytics tool so you could have a clear picture of your customers. Second of all, I would say the inconsistent experiences, where here an interesting also a study by McKinsey, they said only 25% of the company, only 25% of the company, they have consistent experiences. They could help them to increase their customer satisfaction by 20% and increase the revenue by 15%. And this is a huge. One of the greatest examples here we can see, wherever you go overall the world, you can see Starbucks experience almost same in wherever you go. Like you are having good vibes, music, the guy who's writing your name on the cup. And this is a good example of consistent experiences. How you do that, you need to develop a clear CX strategy, and you make sure it's followed and applied to all your employees. Yeah. Even if you succeeded in the first two challenges, if you are lack of having your employees buy-in, like your employees really want to follow that, I think you will still be facing some troubles. And here you can develop a culture where it's a customer-centric. Like you make sure your employees are aligned with your CX strategy, and so on. Yeah, and last but not least, which you already mentioned, and it's the difficulty in measuring the CX metrics. And yeah, to overcome it, for sure, you need the advanced tool, and you need to conduct a robust, measurable framework, and you can capture the NPS, the CES, the CSAT, and all of that numbers. Yeah, and here's worth to mention, like we succeeded to help our customers who was using Lucidia to achieve, to improve their response to the question rate by more than 325%. And I think this is giving them the clarity and also where they are in each point of a time.
And that's a great answer. And also, Anas, when you're giving the Starbucks example, that brought me to the point that before CX became CX as the name, the CS function, the customer service function, existed as a tool to define your CX strategies. At that time, CX and CS were seen as one. Now, in today's age, when there's a clear differentiation, how do you see the CS function fit into your CX strategy holistically? And what are the best examples, best practices that you can think about?
Yeah, so I think the CS, the customer success, their daily activities and functions could really help in the CX, the overall CX strategy. They do. I would say three main things they're in daily activity which could help the CX. First is the proactive engagement. For sure, the CS, they need to reach to their customers proactively, and they do need to engage them. They need to figure out the problem ahead of time and ahead of them. So by doing so, for sure, you will contribute much in the CX. And second of all is the personalization, where when you do a service that is customized and personalized to your customers, this for sure will help in your CX overall experience. And third, how you can then integrate it, you need to define a clear CS role. you need to align your metrics, and for sure then, this is where you can integrate your CS with the CX. And for sure, you need to invest a lot in technology and invest in your team, in the CS team. So by doing so, you are making sure you can integrate your CS functions with the overall CX strategy.
Interesting, thank you. Carrie, coming to you. And disclaimer, you cannot name Shaloub in the next question. So apart from Shaloub, what are the companies that you personally feel have cracked the code when it comes to a CX approach? Or when it comes to customer experience, and what can we learn as organizations, or what the CX leaders in the room can learn today from their approach? Are there any brands that you personally are fond of?
Yeah, I'll use one that I think everyone will know. Probably Amazon is one that really trailblazed customer centricity. And when that was set up in the middle 90s, Jeff Bezos, the CEO, really led with being the Earth's most customer-centric company. And they designed their products, their services around customer. And I think because they did that, they really trailblazed for CX. And if you think about, how we do last mile delivery, how we buy products, what's the normal expectation of a customer now that buys online, it's because they designed with the customer in mind. They were the ones that really started to just accept returns, for example, without questions being asked. That's unheard of. And still now, it's very difficult in some organizations to return products. These guys were doing this in 1999. And that's why this, Earth's largest company now, or one of, certainly, in the space that they're operating. So I think that's obviously a familiar example, but one that everyone, I think, can probably resonate with. And it started with that line, and they designed around it, and they were obsessed with it. And it's something that he continually, you look through YouTube, and you look through, how he discusses customer centricity. That's where the tone was set, and very much design principles around that. One other thing that they did was they hired great talent. And I think that one thing we've not touched on right now is the power of talent, particularly bringing that talent to the region. And having and cultivating great talent that's already in the region, more importantly, to drive this stuff. So I think that yes, it's all about the vision and design around customer principles, but also getting talent that's going to be able to deliver on this. And I think those are the three things that they did very well.
Interesting. Just a follow-up question, because you mentioned, and that's a very, very valid point when we talk about the power of talent, because across sectors, that's a very important thing. And I also think, and I would love to know your views, is because GCC as a region has always been blessed with the best of talent from across the globe, and regionally from GCC itself as well. So do you see the same trend continuing in CX as well, or what are the areas where we could probably get, or there needs to be a skill upgrade?
I think yes, we do attract great talent globally, but I think we've got the best talent available to us now. We've got an enormous amount of talent to tap into in this region. CX is still an immature industry. Let's get that right. We spoke about customer service moving to customer experience probably 10 years ago that we're talking. And yes, there's obviously been people that have been doing it before that, but it's very immature. We've got a great opportunity. We've got a young population, as I was saying earlier, particularly in Saudi Arabia. And we can really bring that talent that are very digital native. That's where customer experience is going now. And let's see how we can, design and curate these experiences with the talent that's available here. And that should be the dream of every organization in this region.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Gary. Mr. Abdulaziz, coming to you. Let's try and play the crystal ball right now. If you're okay with it, before I go to that question, but I would like to ask the same question that I asked Carrie as well. Any brand that you are personally fond of when it comes to delivering CX, and what is your take on that? Any brand that you are personally fond of?
To me, I think Disney, for example. Disney is one of the leading category when it comes to the customer experience. They are usually exceeding the customer expectation by giving, as mentioned today, magical kind of experience, which is remain within customer memories for a long time. So I believe Disney is leading and having a great services and great experience. And I think this is what we are remembering Disney all about. When we are thinking about Disney, we are thinking about experience. So yes. I would go with Disney.
Interesting. I think we're out of time with that question. And yes, thank you so much once again. A big round of applause once again for our panelists on the stage. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today. It was a pleasure to host this panel, and I hope the audience loved the conversation as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.